Spain had more gold than any empire in history, and still went broke. Its ships crossed the oceans, bringing home mountains of silver and gold from the New World, enough wealth to buy kings, armies, even nations. But that treasure became a curse. Within a century, the richest empire on earth was bankrupt. Its people were starving, its power gone. This is how Spain destroyed itself, not through war or invasion, but through bad economics. Our story begins in the 1500s. Spain had just united under one crown. Catholic kings had driven out the Moors, Columbus had opened the door to the Americas, and the world was suddenly within reach. From Mexico to Peru, Spain's conquistadors seized entire civilizations and their treasures. Silver poured from the mines of Potosi, gold from Aztec temples. Every year, fleets of Spanish galleons sailed home heavy with wealth beyond imagination. The empire stretched from Europe to the Americas, Africa, and Asia, the first truly global empire in history. For a moment, Spain ruled half the world. It had the strongest armies, the mightiest navy, and more treasure than any kingdom had ever seen. But beneath the glittering surface, something was rotting. Because Spain's gold didn't build industries. It didn't create innovation. It bought luxuries, palaces, and endless wars. Spain was rich in treasure, but poor in productivity. And that mistake would soon turn the world's greatest empire into the world's most powerful cautionary tale. Spain thought it had found the secret to endless riches. Ships arrived month after month, their hulls bursting with silver from the mines of the New World. The empire's treasuries overflowed. The streets of Seville glittered with gold. But what happens when everyone has treasure? The answer came fast: inflation. Prices soared across Europe. Food, tools, clothes, everything doubled, even tripled in cost. The same gold that once made Spain powerful now made it poor. Silver poured in faster than the economy could grow. Instead of building industries or investing in trade, Spain spent its fortune on imports. It bought grain from France, weapons from Italy, cloth from the Netherlands, and every coin Spain spent made its rivals stronger. The Spanish people stopped working the land. Why farm when silver ships could buy anything? Craftsmen abandoned their trades. Merchants waited for treasure fleets instead of creating new markets. The gold that was meant to make Spain invincible had made it lazy, dependent, hollow. Across Europe, economists began to whisper, Spain is rich only while the ships keep coming. And when storms or pirates delayed those ships, the illusion shattered. Markets collapsed, merchants went bankrupt. Even the king of Spain was the richest man in the world and couldn't pay his debts. The empire had confused treasure with wealth, and soon, that mistake would bring it to its knees. Spain's gold was supposed to make it untouchable, but instead, it became the reason for its downfall. With endless silver pouring in, the kings of Spain believed they could buy anything, even victory. But can you buy power without discipline? Can you fund glory without production? Spain tried. It launched wars across Europe to defend its empire, its faith, and its pride. The Spanish crown fought the French, the Ottomans, the English, and the rebellious Dutch all at once. And every battle burned through mountains of silver. Cannons, ships, and soldiers consumed fortunes faster than treasure fleets could bring them home. The Spanish Armada, the greatest navy the world had ever seen, set sail to crush England. But when the storm came and the ships sank beneath the waves, so did Spain's illusion of invincibility. How do you recover when your pride is built on treasure, not strength? Instead of learning, Spain doubled down. More wars, more loans, more spending. The king borrowed endlessly, selling the future for the promise of glory. Within a single century, Spain declared bankruptcy 4 times. The richest empire on earth could not pay its own bills. Gold still arrived from the New World, but it disappeared the moment it landed, swallowed by foreign bankers, merchants, and lenders. Spain's wealth no longer belonged to Spain. And so, the empire that once ruled half the world became trapped by its own greed. Was it still an empire, or just a delivery service for its enemies' fortune? Spain's rivals didn't need to invade. They simply waited, as the empire consumed itself from within. Because sometimes, the most powerful weapon against an empire isn't an army. It's its own arrogance. Spain's treasure fleets were the lifeline of its empire. Every year, vast convoys of ships crossed the Atlantic, their holds packed with gold and silver from the New World. Each voyage carried enough wealth to change the balance of power in Europe. But there was one problem. Everyone knew they were coming. English and Dutch privateers began to hunt the Spanish galleons. They called themselves explorers, but they were pirates with royal approval. Men like Sir Francis Drake attacked Spain's treasure ships, seizing fortunes on the open sea. Every captured galleon wasn't just a loss of silver, it was a blow to Spain's pride and a gift to its rivals. While Spain spent its treasure, England and the Netherlands invested it. They built banks, stock exchanges, and trading companies that would outlast any empire. Spanish silver funded their ships, their merchants, and eventually their empires. Spain had the gold, but its enemies had the vision. Spain's wealth was no longer power, it was prey. Every coin mined in the mountains of Peru could end up financing a Dutch warship or an English bank. The more Spain conquered, the richer its rivals became. In time, even the Spanish crown began to borrow from the same bankers who financed its enemies. The empire that once ruled the world now depended on foreign loans to survive. Spain had built the first global empire, but others learned how to build a global economy. And while Spain's gold glittered and faded, the banks of London and Amsterdam rose from the silver it left behind. Spain ruled the past, but its rivals, with Spain's own treasure, were quietly building the future. By the early 1600s, Spain's empire was a shadow of its former self. Its treasure fleet still sailed from the Americas, but the gold and silver no longer made the empire strong. Every coin spent on luxuries, war, and debt payments disappeared as quickly as it arrived. Spain was rich in treasure, but bankrupt in reality. The crown defaulted on loans again and again. Markets collapsed, trade slowed, and inflation destroyed savings. Spanish merchants struggled while foreign rivals grew stronger. England, the Netherlands, and France were no longer just competitors. They were the new powers, financed in part by the very silver Spain had hoarded for itself. Spain's people felt the consequences. Fields went untended, cities decayed. Soldiers went unpaid. The empire could not sustain its vast territories. Once loyal colonies grew restless. Rebellions and uprisings became common. Spain had conquered half the world, but it could no longer govern what it had. The illusion of wealth had finally shattered. Spain had mistaken treasure for strength, gold for security. Its empire crumbled not because enemies defeated it, but because its own economic mistakes left it vulnerable. In just over a century, the richest nation on earth became a cautionary tale. Mountains of gold could not buy stability, power, or prosperity. The empire that had ruled the seas, dominated Europe, and controlled the New World was left weakened, indebted, and in decline. Spain's collapse serves as a warning. Wealth alone is fragile. Without productivity, investment, and economic discipline, even the mightiest empire can fall. Gold can glitter, but it cannot substitute for wisdom. Spain lost everything because it confused treasure with true prosperity, and history never forgets such lessons. Spain's empire collapsed because it mistook treasure for true wealth. Mountains of gold and silver could not save it from bad economics, endless wars, and short-term thinking. It's a lesson as urgent today as it was 4 centuries ago. Modern economies face a similar temptation. Governments print money, pile on debt, and chase easy growth. Credit flows like silver once did, and yet true productivity often lags behind. Wealth is measured in numbers on a screen, not in industries, skills, or sustainable systems. Spain's rivals, by contrast, took Spanish silver and turned it into long-lasting power. They built banks, trade networks, and navies, systems that outlived the treasure itself. Gold alone could not protect Spain, but investment, innovation, and discipline built enduring strength. The question we must ask ourselves today is simple. Are we building real wealth or just chasing illusions? Are we mistaking easy money for security? History shows that when nations rely on short-term treasure instead of long-term productivity, collapse is often inevitable. Spain had the world at its feet, yet it fell. It silver-lined pockets and funded wars, but it did not create lasting prosperity. Its story is a warning that money alone is fragile, and fortune without wisdom is fleeting. True wealth comes from what you produce, not just what you possess. From innovation, not from hoarding. From discipline, not from indulgence. The collapse of Spain's empire reminds us that power, prosperity, and security are earned, not bought. History whispers a warning. Wealth without wisdom corrodes from within. Are we listening?